Arkansas will battle the Sooners for the national title. That game is this evening, I believe. Also tonight is the NBA draft. If anybody cares, I think Jabari Smith from Auburn will be the number one pick. But not a whole lot going on right now. But we're going to talk college football with a guy. He's always got something going on. Our college football analyst and Heisman Trophy voter, Brent Beaird. Good morning, Brent. How are you?
Well, I'm doing well. It's supposed to be 101 here today, so it will be a bit toasty.
Are you going to go out jogging today?
Yeah. Hey, let's run some gassers and stadium steps today. How about that? But it's we're enjoying the World Series. Big Ole Miss, Arkansas play tonight to get in the championship series, so that should be fun. Or maybe it's this. I think it's like 4:00 this afternoon or something like that because of weather there. But Shane, I'm looking forward to talking to the Jacksonville Gator Club tonight. That should be a lot of fun. They're meeting at Mudville Grill at 7 p.m. I'm sure a lot of, or some of them are tuned in now, hopefully. So I hear from people from time to time at the gym and different places that they listen to the podcast. So we're grateful for that. So we'll hopefully be giving them some hope tonight about this upcoming season.
Brent, are you going to tell them the Gators are going to go 12-0, get their hopes up?
No promises there.
Well, Brent, let's jump right into college football. Obviously, there's always something going on these days in college football. The college football commissioners are meeting out in Park City, Utah. What are they planning on getting out there or doing out there?
They're going to be discussing several different topics. They're going to be talking about transfer windows, which is kind of the big deal going on now. In other words, to be able to cut down and make it windows instead of wide open doors. Can we use that analogy for transfers? In other words, to give it, I think, 2 or 3 week periods instead of months, the way it is now. They're going to be looking at the calendar, and then I hope they'll be talking something about the playoff expansion. So they'll have a lot on their plate this week. Nothing really has come out about that as yet. So we'll keep our ear on the ground for that one.
Yeah, and your man Phil Steele's magazine. Have you gotten it yet? It's out, right?
No, it's slowly out. What happened was he was actually in Colorado last week. He was set to do a magazine signing, and then something happened with the production, and he was not able to get the magazines out then. They started on Monday coming out, and he said that they will be out at Barnes & Noble by July the 4th is what he is hoping. So Phil will start he does a lot of radio, and he will start that coming up pretty soon. I'm guessing you probably had him on, and he's got a guy who his assistant helps him with that to get on different radio shows. But the bottom line is, for our listeners, the magazine should be out and distributed by July the 4th, but we may start looking at it this weekend.
EA Sports is coming back out with their college football video game. I'll be honest with you. I've never played it one time.
Right.
Didn't even know that it was no longer in existence. But it's supposed to be back out next year, correct?
That's correct. The thing we're hearing is it's coming out in July of 2023. It's very popular, but I'm with you. I've never had it. Never really seen it. I mean, I'm sure it's very interesting for gamers and people who enjoy that. But people have been looking for it for quite a while, and it's going to be coming up. So folks can kind of count on that and anticipate the release July 2023.
We've had a bunch of Facebook Live comments and questions brought to you by Metal Law here, and we're going to get to it, but we might as well get to it now. Yesterday, there was a report that Billy Napier has, if you want to use the word cut, as they use in the National Football League, 3 players that were on scholarship from the roster. They have to get down. I think they got to cut 3 or 4 more. Usually doesn't happen, but I think in today's world with the transfer portal and adding extra guys, you're going to see more of this. But those 3 players were Finley Graham, Mordecai McDaniel, and Chris Thomas. Look, in my opinion, and I know nothing about what happened, but Billy Napier, it's either you buy into the way he's going to do things or you're not going to be a part of the program. It's that simple.
Correct.
It's that simple.
Correct. Well, but now what? And I give this is a report from Gators Online, which dovetails on what you're saying. They were at like 90 scholarships. With those guys gone, they're down to 87. So they're getting closer to the number they've got to be at for fall camp, which is 85. So, and look, there is some attrition that goes on, and what Shane is saying is correct. And look, Shane, if you're in the coach's eyes, and we don't all know who this is, but the coaches do. But when you're in a situation like that, the last thing you need to do, if you're kind of on the borderline, is get in some kind of trouble this summer, right?
Yeah. And like I said, I don't think these guys got any trouble. I just don't think these guys were doing what they're supposed to do. And a lot of it is, it's just about being disciplined, being on time. Like I said, I don't know what they did or why they're getting rid of them, but I've been around what his plan is, and it's very simple. It's exactly what Alabama and Georgia do. Look, if you don't do this, we go find somebody else that will do it.
That's right.
So John asked, wasn't Mordecai McDaniel the kid that was talking about Mullen? I don't know. I know there was a player that was kind of bashing Mullen, but again, what fans need to realize, sometimes you can't believe everything these kids say either.
Sure.
So we're speaking with Brent Beaird here on the Titan MRI Hotline. Ruse Ogre State Farm Office is a team of dedicated insurance professionals ready to help life go right with the right insurance options for you and your family. Visitogreinsurance.com. Give them a call, 352-240-1779. All right, Brent, I always like this time in your notes, you always have these polls. I don't think they're your polls. They're other people's polls.
Right.
But this week, we're going to talk about the best front sevens in college football. And a couple of them surprised me.
Yeah. The Clemson is number 1. I've heard this from everybody, that they are as good on their defensive line, frankly, as anybody is. Brian Breesy anchors the line. Xavier Thomas, KJ Henry. I've got a good linebacker core too. Trenton Simpson. So they are, as much as they've been criticized offensively, defensively, they're still very good. No surprise, Alabama is number 2. By the way, this list is from CBSSports.com. I'll give them credit for that. Now, the others people may not have heard of much, but Washington is 3, Baylor is 4, and Oklahoma State is number 5. Now, give Mike Gundy a lot of credit for what they've done with their defense. Remember last year they had a really good year. Dave Aranda, who I still think is one of the best coaches in the nation, great guy. I think Dave Aranda will be coaching the SEC one day. So I give him a lot of credit for what they've done. But that's always fascinating to look at, isn't it, Shane? And look, that your front 7 oftentimes as much as we love to talk about guys throwing it and catching it, your front seven is going to determine how far you go in the season.
Yeah, obviously, I didn't even realize. I knew Clemson a couple of years ago. They were stout in their front seven on defense.
Right.
I mean, I know they played good defense last year. They were just limited on offense, but I didn't know they. I would have just off the top of my head, I would have picked Alabama because I've talked to so many people that think this front seven in Alabama is as good as they've ever had, but
Right.
never would have I thought the Washington Huskies. Now Baylor, I've seen them play last year, but Oklahoma State. When you think of Oklahoma State, you think of offense. You don't think of them having a tremendous defense. But what's interesting is Derek Mason is now the old Vanderbilt coach is now their new defensive coordinator.
Good point. That's right. Yes. Mm-hmm.
So that will be interesting. Another power poll talks about assistant coaches within the SEC on each staff, that those guys may potentially become a head coach. Go through those for us.
Yeah, this is Matt Hayes of Saturday Down South. To mention a few, and these are familiar names: Glenn Schumann at Georgia, co-defense coordinator; Bill O'Brien at Alabama. I think what happened here is he wanted to give that he and Nick Saban had the deal to where he would be there at not just 1 year but multiple years. I think that's what you're seeing here. Barry Odom at Arkansas is a no-brainer. Charlie Weiss Jr., the offense coordinator at Ole Miss. Zach Arnett, who has done an incredible job as the coordinator at Mississippi State. I've been really impressed by him. Corey Raymond, who is really good at LSU, tremendous recruiter. I mean, tremendous assistant head coach. I think several of these guys have got something similar to assistant head coach jobs with that too. Marcus Johnson, the assistant coach and offensive assistant at Missouri. Now, this doesn't mean that they're all going to be head coaches one day, but at the same time, Matt keeps his finger on the pulse of things with coaches, and that's a pretty good group, Shane.
Yeah, it is. Some of the guys I've never heard of, quite honestly, but that doesn't mean they're not good coaches at all. We got a text real quick here on the Titan MR text line from Ryan. He says, "Good morning, Shane. When Arkansas shortstop ran into the left fielder in the top of the ninth, I immediately had visions of that drop foul ball a few years ago that cost them the national title." I did too. Van Horn may have crumpled over in a pile if Arkansas blew that 3-1 lead. Oklahoma is proving out that Florida's regional was considered the most competitive. Appreciate the text, Ryan. Yeah, did you see that play by their shortstop and left fielder?
I did. Shane, they were fortunate that one of them or both of them did not get hurt. I mean, they just had a lack of communication or whatever goes into a play like that. Where and to me it was amazing that the guy held on to the ball. Did you feel the same way? They were so confused and they got tangled up with each other, but he was still able to hang on the ball, and for all intents and purposes, it certainly saved the moment anyway.
Yeah, and that shortstop's outstanding, and you're an old Alabama guy. He looks like he could be Jalen Hurts' twin brother to me.
Yeah. Yeah,
they look just alike. They look just alike. A couple of Facebook Lives here brought to you by Mellon Law for you, Brent. From John, he says, "Brent, I know you read the Athlons magazine. What did you think of them saying Florida had the fourth best talent roster in the SEC? Did they say that? I haven't read it, but that's interesting to me that they say they have the fourth best talent on the roster, but then they pick them fourth in the East?
Yeah.
That doesn't make sense.
No, it doesn't. But, I mean, you get a lot of things written in the magazine, and you can't worry about that much. But Shane's right. In both Athlon and Lindy's, Florida's picked fourth. So, and again, too early to know what this roster is going to be. I think it's a better roster, but the thing we've got to remember is he's still 2 or 3 years away from having the talent that he needs And this is something I'm going to be saying tonight, is Gator fans have just got to be patient. They're in on guys they would have never been in on, I think, years ago. So give him credit for that. They're worried about why is he not sealing the deal? Well, look, the important thing here is he's making relationships, and the staff is, with coaches, high school coaches in the state and the surrounding states. And that's what you do your first year, is right, Shane? I mean, you've got to start setting up the network. You got to start relationships. You got to start meeting people, and then after that, at some point, and it will, in 2 or 3 years, all this stuff's is going to be worthwhile. That's going to come to fruition.
Yeah, I will totally disagree with Athlon's on fourth best talented roster. I mean, I don't know what the hell they're looking at.
I agree.
Yeah, it's not even close. And I can't remember last year. During halftime, after halftime of the broadcast, or either before the game, I'd kind of go get something to eat up in the press box, and I would see personnel guys from my days of playing the NFL, and we would be talking, and I would ask them, or they would just look at me going, "What happened to the talent at Florida?" And I go, "Well, at least my eyes ain't lying to me." So,
right.
But Billy will get them there. I promise you that. Andy has a question here, brought to you by Melvin Law. Brent, were you surprised that FSU replaced Gene Deckerhoff with an outsider, Jeff Colhane? Maybe I pronounced his name wrong. The play-by-play guy from North Dakota State. But people got to remember, Andy, Gene was an outsider when they hired him there. He was a Gator.
Yep. Well, I think where the question is coming from, a lot of people thought that that Tom Block would get that job because Tom has been associated with the broadcast for so long, and frankly has done a good job. But look, they make these decisions for different reasons. Jeff Colhane, as Shane said, is his name. He's been on the broadcast for Nebraska, West Virginia, and North Dakota State. Now, people are going to be asking, why would you hire somebody from North Dakota State? Well, Google that when you have time. That's a good program in their level of play. So, and again, I have no idea who the guy is. Frankly, I don't think I've ever heard him. But at the same time, we'll see what that goes. So I think the main thing is, yes, they thought it was Tom Block. A lot of people did. But again, Shane, as you know, there are a lot of different deciding factors that go into something like that.
Yeah, and I think Gator fans need to realize when they hired Mick Hubert, he was an outsider from Dayton, Ohio.
That's right. Absolutely.
Nobody knew who the hell he was. And I would think we're going to announce it here pretty soon. I don't have any idea who they plan to hire, but they'll get a good one.
Yes.
So we got a clarification here because we got great loyal listeners, Brent. Tim says that article in Athlon said that the Gators had the fourth best roster in the East. Now, I'll agree with that, but not in the league. So all good there. Brent, there's rumors swirling out there again about Urban possibly getting back into college coaching. Your thoughts?
Well, where this came from, again, is Matt Hayes and some of his writings takes questions, and a woman asked question, will Urban get back one day into the SEC? And Matt's answer was he could possibly see Urban going to, say, either Auburn or the possibility of maybe even a school like Texas or somewhere down the line. So, look, Urban's a good football coach. Everybody knows that with the rings at Florida, championships. But he was frankly a disaster here, and that's just being honest. He will be in television, and frankly, I think that's where he ought to stay. But I know coaches coach, and they get an itch to do that after a while. A lot of this is, and again, the thing we always say is all it takes is one athletic director that's under a lot of pressure to win to go and get Urban Meyer, or at least to make a try at that point. So I really do. I think Urban's toward the end of his coaching career, or should be. That doesn't mean he won't try again, and that doesn't mean someone won't ask him and throw enough money at him to be able to do it. So tremendously competent football coach, but an amazingly complex individual.
No doubt about it. Peachland Dentistry, Gator Nation's #1 choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte surrounding areas. Visit them at peachlanddental.com. All right, Brent. So we're going to go to another one of these polls, the rankings or what have you, for the SEC coaches. I know you did. This ain't you. This is Matt Hayes.
Right.
But what in the hell is he thinking in his rankings of the SEC coaches?
Well, he's got Kirby Smart #1, Nick Saban #2, Mark Stoops #3, and Jimbo #4, Brian Kelly 5, Lane Kiffin 6, and Sam Pittman 7. In the interest of time, I'll start with 7. I think sometimes people get caught up in the immediate instead of looking at the big picture. I still think Nick Saban's the best coach in the league.
Mm-hmm.
So I would certainly reverse those. The Mark Stoops situation is interesting, and I think some of that is because Stoops has won 10 games at Kentucky twice in the last 4 years. Goes along with that. Some people would think Jimbo's too high because he really hasn't done anything with A&M. Now, obviously, he has a national championship from FSU, but again, a lot of this stuff is just speculation. Brian Kelly, frankly, Shane, may be a lot higher on this list in 2 or 3 years after he gets his players there. Lane Kiffin and Sam Pittman could also go up, but these lists are what they are. It gives us something to talk about in June.
Yeah, no doubt about it. A couple of Facebook Lives here brought to you by Melvin Law. Camp says, would Florida take Urban Meyer back if he wanted to come back next week? Absolutely not. There's no way that Urban would be hired by the Florida Gators. Don't you agree with that, Brent?
Totally. And
yeah.
Again,
I have a better chance. I have a better chance of coaching the Dallas Cowboys than Urban coming back to Florida.
Yeah, but and I will continue to say this: they have their best coach right now since Urban.
Alan says here on Facebook Live, brought to you by Melvin Law, what would be your thoughts on the possibility of Bates taking on UF's commentary? I don't know if he would be available. No, he's available. So Bates teaches a broadcasting class at UF, and he also works for, I want to say it's the ACC network, doing play-by-play. I don't know if James can do basketball, though. I don't know if he's ever done basketball.
Good point.
Obviously, he's a great Gator. People love him. I don't know. I don't know if he would even consider it, because does he have to give up teaching his class? I know he enjoys doing that because it's a full-time job.
Sure.
What he does for the ACC network right now is he flies there on a Thursday or a Friday, meets with the coach, calls the games, and flies home. But when you have to do what Mick Hubert, you are an employee of the UAA, and it's year round. And plus basketball, whoever they hire is going to do football and basketball. So,
and as we talked before, I really thought Mick was actually better. He did a great job in both, and I really liked Mick in what he was able to do. But I thought Mick was better in basketball than he was football, frankly. And I think some of that, Shane, is because Dayton's a basketball school, and that they've really been good. But regardless, that's a really good point. And to be good in both is not easy, is it?
No, not at all. Scott has a question for you, Brent, here on Facebook Live, brought to you by Mental Law. Brent, who do you think will be more successful immediately and in the long term, Napier or Kelly?
I'm going to say Kelly because he is regardless, and this is what Shane and I were talking about a few minutes ago. You can say what you want to about what Orgeron did or didn't do at LSU, but there's no question they've got talent, and that will help him this year. And they may even be a little bit better this year than people think. They'll find a quarterback. The Emory kid's good at running back. Boutte is one of the better wide receivers in the league, if not the nation. But now that doesn't diminish anything that Napier is going to be doing at Florida. I just think for now, I don't care who you are. As like we said for Clemson a few minutes ago, LSU can recruit, and that's what they've done really well over the last few years. And people will see as the year goes along. Shane, they've still got tremendous talent on that football team.
Oh, there's no question about it. This week, I believe it's this week, the Manning Passing Academy that Archie, Eli, Peyton, and Cooper have been putting on for years. They started, I guess, probably 10, 12 years ago, started bringing in the top college quarterbacks from around the country. A lot of good players are going to be up there in Nicholls State.
I'd love to have a credential for this if the credential exists. This has always fascinated me. I would love to be. Wouldn't you love to be a fly on the wall and just listen to the stories at the end of the day when all these folks are sitting around, and I'm sure they talk to these guys as a group from time to time. And again, I mean, these are basically virtually every starting quarterback in the SEC. Only Auburn and Missouri won't have quarterbacks there. But I mean, my goodness, can you imagine what just what you would learn there? I would bet you as a quarterback, Shane. I don't know if you've worked with them before or talked with them about this, but this has always been fascinating to me. I would just love how this works. And look, I'm sure they learned some stuff from this, so it's a great 3 days for them.
Yeah, I will tell you this. The Manning boys know football and they know college football. I'll never forget, I was on a golf trip with them in Scotland. This was in 2007 or 2008. I was done playing. They were still playing. And we were done playing around, sitting around, drinking and eating. And I'll never forget, Peyton goes, I remember in 1991, your starting wide receivers were bang, 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 bang. Your tailback was this guy. Your left tackle was, I'm going, who in the hell would know that?
Yeah.
But it's amazing how much football they know. So those two guys, and Cooper may keep up with them too, but I know Peyton for sure. He will know about every one of these kids. He'll probably know their stats. But it's those dudes know football, and these kids will enjoy that few days at the Manning Passing Academy. Brent, there's a note in here about the transfers that have placed to a school, which is interesting to me because I would be interested if someone did their homework, and maybe that's what this is, and I'm not reading it correctly, but let's just say, for example, 5 Gators go into the transfer portal. How many of those 5 players have a home right now?
Well, that's exactly what this is. And it's a credit to the schools that the guys who transfer out end up getting homes. Now, we don't see this behind the scenes, but this is something coaches don't get a lot of credit for, is that, okay, you want to leave, we appreciate you being here, but we're going to try to do what we can to find you a home. So, look, a lot of these schools have got, I don't know if they've got as many staff as Florida or Alabama or someone like that, but it's a credit to them. And Shane, that's what you and I have been talking about, for months on this, is you want to see guys who transfer end up somewhere. And there's still way too many of them still in the portal, and they're trying to find homes. But it's great to see Baylor, Iowa, Cincinnati, Michigan, Louisville, Ohio State, Oklahoma, Alabama, Clemson, Washington, Wyoming. These are some of the schools that all their transfers have ended up somewhere else.
Yeah, a couple of Facebook Lives here brought to you by Metal Law. Let's see, some good questions here. If I can get this thing to scroll for me real quick. David says, I wonder which Manning is the best technique coach. What they do at that camp, they're not going to change anybody's throwing motions or any of that stuff. It's more of a mental thing. Once you're in college, and it's when I work with kids, you can tell if a kid can throw a football like after 3 throws.
Sure.
And the worst thing you can do as a guy who trains quarterbacks is mess with their throwing motion. Their feet, lower body is the most important thing in playing quarterback. People don't realize that. All they care about is arm strength. I don't give a damn about anybody's arm. Speaking of that, Brandon says, Shane, did you see the Penn State commit throw it around yesterday? Nice arm. I don't know where he was throwing it around. I don't even know who he is. If he's a college quarterback going somewhere, he's probably got a pretty good arm. So I don't know. Like I said, I don't care about arm strength at all. Brandon's question, I may be late, but what's up with all the kids transferring from the baseball program? Kids want to play, Brandon. I know Gator fans get upset when people leave, but then you got to be the same. You can't have a problem when a kid comes to your program and produces. Like our catcher last year who came from Coastal Carolina, had a great year. Think about all the wide receivers that came under Dan Mullen in the transfer portal. So anyway, John asked, QB, have you ever thought about a segment where you break down a certain play and talk X's and O's? Yeah, I don't have a problem with that. It's getting the plays up, and it's a good thought there, John. Yep. Brent, I've kept you way too long, and I apologize, but I want you to run real quick, maybe through the SEC, if there's any good nuggets out there going on in the league.
Yeah, I'll be glad to. Alabama has a commitment from Wilkin Formby, who's a 4-star offensive tackle. He's from Tuscaloosa. He was also looking at Ole Miss and Tennessee. I got a little amused at this. Mike Leach at Mississippi State says there's a bit of a battle between Will Rogers and Sawyer Robertson after the spring. We will evaluate it more in the fall. Look, I think that stuff, and correct me if I'm wrong here, I think that stuff the coaches say in order to keep the competition going during the summer.
Well, that, and then I know Will Rogers is a really good player. And I don't even know. I think he's going to be a true junior, maybe. The other kid that he just mentioned, I've never heard of. Is he like a true freshman, or do you know, Brent?
Yeah, Sawyer Robertson. Yeah. He's one of the younger kids they really like. Yes.
So it's probably one of those deals where, yes, they don't want Will Rogers to act like he can just walk around campus as he's the big shot, but they want Sawyer to not transfer.
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
Sawyer, we're going to give you a chance to compete, and you may play a little bit in some blowout games, whatever, but you're our future.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and but by the way, a Kentucky note, Mark Stoops is not on board with a proposed 9-game SEC schedule. He said, you're guaranteeing 50% of the league one more loss. They already fire everybody in the league all the time. So I thought that was a pretty honest reply to that. To back up what we were saying a few minutes ago, LSU, I won't go into all the detail, but they've still got 6 kids in the portal who are now unsigned. So they're making progress, but they don't have room, or they haven't got everybody yet to where they want to go. But again, around the league, it's pretty quiet. Fortunately, no one's got in trouble yet. Hopefully that trend will continue. But again, we haven't mentioned this, but we're about 3 weeks away from SEC Media Days this year in Atlanta. So that's going to be around the corner.
Yeah. Before we let you go, we just got a text from the Titan MR text line from Jim. He says, Brent, what's going on down in Miami? It seems like they were trying to steal some of the Gator recruits.
Well, I think people make a bigger deal out of that than probably what's going on. But I mean, they've done a pretty good job. There's as much excitement down there as there has been in a long time. This kid, Tyler Van Dyke, maybe the best quarterback in the league. frankly. I mean, he's that good. He's made a lot of progress. Their problem is going to be defensively, they're just not very good. Their beat writers would tell you that. So that's something they've got to fix. They've got a September game with A&M at College Station. That's going to be a litmus test for them to see how good they are. But yeah, I mean, to his question, I mean, I've heard that too. You know, Miami's got this big collective thing down there, and that they were investigated. Remember, by the NCAA, we got that word last week that there was some investigators from the NCAA to go by and talk to their big collective guy. He just said it was much ado about nothing. And the reality is, and unfortunately, until the NCAA restructures itself or streamlines itself, there's only so much enforcement that they can probably do right now. So, frankly, because of that, I doubt, good, bad, or indifferent, I doubt Miami is very worried about it.
No, Brent, great stuff as always, man. Enjoy the Jacksonville Gator Club tonight. I'm sure they're excited to have Brent Beaird there. So we'll talk to you next week, my man.
Always enjoy it, Shane. Take care.
That's Brent Beaird. Join us on the Titan More Hotline. You can check Brent out on Twitter at Brent Beaird. We're going to take a timeout, come back. Got more Facebook Lives and texts to get to. You're watching and listening to Pot Up and Matthews in the Morning.
We want to take this moment to thank all our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills. Our premium sponsors are Crime Prevention Security Systems, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility. Meldon Law, the only official law firm partner of the Florida Gators. Peachland Dental, Gator Nation's first choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte. Comfort Temp, comfort is our business, peace of mind is our promise. QC Kinetics, live pain-free with QC Kinetics. Our gridiron sponsors are Auto ER, UF Bookstores, Celebration Point Town Center, Chris Doring Mortgage, Silverback Concrete Co., Ruse Ogra State Farm Insurance, Doreen Wiebe Realtor Caldwell Banker MM Parish. Our touchdown sponsors are Campus USA Credit Union, Adams Rib Company, Gator Dominoes, Celebrate Primary Care, Gator Bait Media, Okido America, Style Cuts, Ironwood Golf Course, Big Mills Cheesesteaks, MB Listing, McDonald's of Gainesville, 84 Lumber, Tropical Smoothie Cafe, Avra and Smith, Dowling Signs, Baker's Sporting Goods, Silver Cube Billiards and Sports Bar. If you are interested in promoting your business on the show, visit potupwithshane.com and click the Advertise button. Again, thank you to all the great businesses that support the show. If you like what we are doing here, make sure you follow us and support the businesses that support us.
Pro football legend Emmitt Smith understands your joint pain.
It does not surprise me that there are a ton of people out there that's in pain.
That's why Emmitt is such a proponent of QC Kinetics, offering real lasting joint pain relief with non-surgical, all-natural biologic treatments.
Whether it's a joint pain, ankle pain, shoulder pain, neck pain, back pain, hip pain, any kind of pain, the body eventually will break down when it's under that much stress.
That stress can cloud your judgment to the point that you'll just say yes to the scalpel or yes to another prescription of pain pills. But maybe it's time for a second opinion from QC Kinetics.
The reason why I would recommend this is because the natural biologics that QC Kinetics is providing you gives your body a chance to naturally heal itself.
Restorative, regenerative solutions are here. Get lasting relief and live your life.
Call QC Kinetics 352-400-4550. That's 352-400-4550. QC Kinetics 352-400-4550.
Welcome back to the Crime Prevention Security System Studios, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Celebration Point, that's where the Gators go to celebrate with premium brands like Bass Pro Shop, Dave & Buster's, Regal Cinemas, Nike, Palmetto Moon, Medici's, and the HBC's restaurant, Spurrier's Gridiron Grill, where every Saturday and Sunday from 11 to 2:30, you can get the hottest brunch in town. We will see you at Celebration Point, where the Gators go to celebrate. Again, I want to thank Brent Beaird. Does a tremendous job. We appreciate his time joining our program. Hope you listeners enjoy listening to Brent. If you missed it last night, Lightning go down 3-1 to the Avalanche. I don't like their chances now. In college baseball, Oklahoma has moved on to the championship series. They will face the winner of tonight's game against Ole Miss and Arkansas. And that's pretty much all the news going on in the sports world. I mean, obviously you got Major League Baseball going on, but you also had 3 Gator players cut from the rosters we talked about yesterday. Back to a couple of Facebook Lives. Rick says, Shane, you could do a show from the sprayer bathroom, explain the plays. I could do that. I could tell you exactly how you're supposed to read all those plays because we were all taught the same exact way. Now, regarding some of these other questions, about me doing and breaking down film and stuff about the reads, I can do that. The only problem is I don't know what their coach is telling them how to read that play. Not everybody looks at it the same way. And that's why I can't tell you, and I'm sure y'all are the same way. You're sitting in the stands, quarterback drops back, throws it over here, and you see a receiver running wide open down the sideline over here. And, everybody's bitching, complaining, why didn't you throw it to that guy? Well, that guy may not even be part of the read. So there's all those things, and it depends on what the coverage is, the pre-snap read, and the post-snap read. They disguise things. So I could tell you how I coach it, how I was coached, and what I would do, but that doesn't mean I know what Billy Napier and his staff is telling that guy. So that would be fun to do. We'll look into that and see if how you get the tape and all that stuff. So we'll see. Let's see. We got a couple of Facebook Lives here. Andy says, brought to you by Mellon Law. Shane, it's troubling that we are losing these great athletes in their mid-20s. Jalen Ferguson and Caleb Swanigan just this week. Yes, and Big Tony Saragusa died at 55. I don't know what's going on. It doesn't make sense. Now, Caleb Swanigan got overweight. I mean, he's a 7-footer. We don't know his health situation. But Jalen Ferguson, who plays for the Ravens, and then Tony Saragusa, I mean, we know he was overweight or whatever at age 55. We don't know. I guess we'll learn more as it goes. But it's extremely sad and somewhat disturbing. Jimmy says, good morning and go Gators. QB9 and Brent from the Choctaw Reservation and good old Choctaw, Mississippi. Hey, look, speaking of that, you see my shirt? Dancing Rabbit Golf Club, giving them some love. 2 of my favorite golf courses in the world right there in Choctaw, Mississippi. So if you want 2 beautiful golf courses that are probably as close to Augusta National as some of us will ever get of playing Augusta National, go check out the Dancing Rabbit Golf Club. It's the host of the Mississippi Masters as well. Rick says, are these guys taking steroids? Could be. I mean, I know a lot of guys that play defensive line in the National Football League like Saragusa. I'm not saying he did, but I do know a bunch of those guys did at one time. So maybe it caught up with him. I don't know. But that could be. That could be for sure. Scott says on Facebook Live, there are a couple channels on YouTube that break down Gator tape. You'd be superior to them. Yeah, I've seen those, Scott, and I got to figure out how we can implement it into our program. But again, I've watched that, and those guys can tell you what they think. And I don't know if those guys have ever played. I can tell you what a quarterback is thinking or should be thinking on a play. But again, we don't know what Billy Napier is telling Kyle Trask, or excuse me, Dan Mullen was telling Kyle Trask then, or Billy Napier is telling Anthony Richardson. That's the only thing. John says, speaking of the young passing away tragically, I don't see anyone taking a chance on Keontae. It's just too risky. I agree. Now, I'm curious. Well, he may just need to go over season play if he really wants to play. So we'll see. John says, bring back breakfast with the Gators. That was my favorite thing to watch on Sunday mornings while eating waffles. Yeah, that was good stuff back in the day. We have a text here on the Titan More text line from Lawrence. Lawrence says, Shane, I've heard you say many times on this show that you can't take a scholarship away from a player because it will hurt your recruiting. Why did Billy Napier do that? It was much longer, so I was trying to shorten it. Yeah, it's interesting, man. Now, obviously, those guys were not on board. I mean, you're not just going to take or cut a kid and take a scholarship just to be doing it. So, like we talked earlier, Billy Napier has a plan. If you don't follow that plan, you are not going to be a part of his program. You know, there's the things that make up the Alabama program. I know this because I studied their program. They talk about the process. It's discipline, toughness, commitment, toughness, effort, and pride. Those are the 5 elements that make up the process. Discipline, commitment, toughness, effort, and pride. And Billy Napier has his own stuff that he does. So if you're not going to follow that, you're not going to be a part of the program. So obviously these guys, boy, to take their scholarship away, they were not on board, and they were probably a cancer in the locker room. That's all I can think of. And John says, trust the process. Well, that process there in Tuscaloosa has done pretty well. And I think Billy's going to get it going here. Like I told you, year 3 is the year to get excited. Are you in the market to buy or sell a home? Doreen Weeby, a realtor with Caldwell Banker. It's almost like a tongue twister there. Doreen Weeby, a realtor with Caldwell Banker, MM Parish, will provide you with fast, friendly, and reliable service. Call her today at 352-562-1411 to help your dreams come true. I'm trying to remember the Breakfast with the Gators. They didn't break down tape, though, did they, John? I thought it was just a rerun of the game. I could be wrong, though. There's one I wanted to get to here. Can't find it. Let's take here it is. This was funny. That's my man Andy up in Chicago. He says on Facebook Live, Shane's first priority in Dallas when I take over the head coaching job before Urban Meyer gets hired back at Florida is I would trade for Josh Allen. You damn right I would, in a heartbeat. But yeah, there is rumors out there that Urban. I mean, we know he wants to coach. Auburn has issues if they don't win this year. If Texas doesn't get better, eventually they're going to fire Sarkisian. Would somebody take him? And somebody asked, if you missed it earlier, would Florida take Urban back? Look, we're in good hands with Billy Napier, but no. The UAA's motto is winning championships with integrity. There's no way they take him back. And that's why I said I have a better chance of being the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys and trading for Josh Allen. And then we'll go win a bunch of Super Bowls. Scott says, yeah, it was just a rerun. Yeah, Breakfast with the Gators was a rerun. I think that was with David Steele and Nat Moore back in the day. It was good stuff. So let's take a quick time out, come back, get to this day in sports, and wrap up this Thursday edition.
We want to take this moment to thank all our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills. Our premium sponsors are Crime Prevention Security Systems, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility. Meldon Law, the only official law firm partner of the Florida Gators. Peachland Dental, Gator Nation's first choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte. Comfort Temp, comfort is our business, peace of mind is our promise. QC Kinetics, live pain-free with QC Kinetics. Our gridiron sponsors are Auto ER, UF Bookstores, Celebration Point Town Center, Chris Doring Mortgage, Silverback Concrete Co., Ruse Ogra State Farm Insurance, Doreen Weeby Realtor Caldwell Banker MM Parish. Our touchdown sponsors are Campus USA Credit Union, Adams Rib Company, Gator Dominoes, Celebrate Primary Care, Gator Bait Media, Okido America, Style Cuts, Ironwood Golf Course, Big Mills Cheesesteaks, MB Listing, McDonald's of Gainesville, 84 Lumber, Tropical Smoothie Cafe, Avra and Smith, Dowling Signs, Baker's Sporting Goods, Silver Cube Billiards and Sports Bar. If you are interested in promoting your business on the show, visit potupwithshane.com and click the Advertise button. Again, thank you to all the great businesses that support the show. If you like what we are doing here, make sure you follow us and support the businesses that support us.
Hi, Steve Spurrier here. You know, making a reservation at my restaurant is easier than a Saturday afternoon homecoming game against Vandy. You don't have to call or email. Just go to spurriers.com, hit the reservation button, pick a date, a number of guests, and a time. It's so simple, I can do it. In fact, I just did. Maybe I'll see you tonight.
Welcome back to the Crime Prevention Security System Studios, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. At Chris Storing Mortgage, they do mortgage lending right, helping home buyers throughout Gainesville and North Central Florida. Call Chris Storing Mortgage today, 352-244-0840. John says all the guys on Get Up just said they would take Joe Burrow to start a franchise. They clearly haven't seen. They ain't been listening to me. You're right, John. I like Burrow. I like Burrow a lot. This day in sports brought to you our good friends at Comfort Temp. Comfort is our business. Peace of mind is our promise. Beat the summer heat and schedule your air conditioner's tune-up today, keeping you chill in the Florida heat far away. Comfort Temp, heating and air. Give them a call, 352-376-2366. This day in sports, back in 2011, NBA draft, Duke point guard Kyrie Irving was the first overall pick by the Cleveland Cavaliers. I assume he's still going to be a Brooklyn Net. But tonight, for all our NBA lovers, you have the NBA draft tonight. I believe Jabari Smith, what is it, Poncho? I can't even. What's his name? The kid from Duke, and then Chet Holmgren, the big 7'3" kid out of Gonzaga. Those three are probably in the running to be the overall pick, but I'd take Jabari Smith. I didn't even know this. Greg says the Magic have the number 1 pick. They're crazy if they don't take Jabari Smith in. That's who I would take. So we'll see. We shall see. Rick says Shane now has a real job that keeps him off the links more than likes. No, I play once a week, sometimes more. I'd like to. It's just Gainesville. University is the best course in town, and it's usually too crowded. Ocala has the best golf courses in this area. It's amazing, the good golf down there. So supposedly Gainesville is supposed to be building a new golf course. We shall see. We've heard that for years. Hopefully it will happen here soon. I just saw on Twitter that the Ohio State University has trademarked the word "the," which is just ridiculous in my opinion. So anyway, that's neither here nor there. But as I said, the Lightning go down 3-1. They play again, I think, Friday night out in Denver. The Avalanche will have a chance to win the Stanley Cup. And the Lightning really needed that game last night. Didn't work out. They've had a good run, though. But who says they could possibly win a couple of games and get back in it. But I doubt it. Should have a really good game between Ole Miss and Arkansas today to see who plays the Oklahoma Sooners, who, I was at the regional here in Gainesville, and I mean, they were a good team. They weren't great, but they've gotten hot at the right time. They pitched the ball extremely well out in Omaha and handcuffed the Aggies yesterday. So anyway, I hope you have a great day, folks. We'll be here tomorrow, and we look forward to having you back. And take care, folks. See you tomorrow.
1st and 10. Matthews, near side, wide open, Alonzo Sullivan. He may go.